Good morning. I'm Councillor Diane Donaldson and I'll be chairing this hearing of Subcommittee B of the Licensing and Public Protection Committee of Birmingham City Council. Before we start, can you all please mute your microphones for the moment in order to improve the sound quality whilst I outline the procedure. Can you also please turn off your cameras with the exception of committee members unless you're the person speaking. This is to reduce bandwidth. Committee members will have their cameras switched on throughout the hearing. Could everyone attending today's meeting please put their mobile phones on silent and ensure they are situated in a room or environment which is free from distractions or any unnecessary noise emanating from radios, TVs, etc. Thank you for that. I'm speaking slowly and clearly so everyone can follow. It is vitally important, for what I hope are obvious reasons, that those attending the meeting and making representations are able to hear me and the members of my subcommittee and officers. Any distractions brought to my attention could result in the meeting being suspended temporarily or to another date and time under the regulations for these types of meetings. I also confirm this is a public meeting and is therefore being live streamed on the City Council's website in order that the general public can view it. I advise that this meeting will be webcast for live or subsequent broadcast via the Council's meeting YouTube site, details which can be found in the agenda, and that members of the press public may record and take photographs except where there are confidential or exempt items. Members are reminded that they must declare all relevant pecuniary and non-pecuniary interests arising from any business to be discussed in this meeting. If a disclosable pecuniary interest is declared, a member must not speak or take part in that agenda item. Any declarations must be recorded in the minutes of the meeting. Apologies were submitted on behalf of Councillors Higgs and Mia, and Councillors Pritchard and Wagg were the nominated substitute members respectively. Can we confirm the minutes of the meeting held on the 19th of July 2022 at 1000 hours, please? Are those agreed?
Agreed.
Thank you. Councillor Wagg? I'll move on. Can I welcome you to this hearing for an application in respect of Buddha Belly 1268 Pershaw Road, Sturchley, Birmingham, B30 2XU. I'll begin with some introductions. My name is Councillor Diane Donaldson and I'm chairing this meeting of the Licensing Subcommittee. With me are other members of the subcommittee, Councillors Penny Wagg and Julian Pritchard. Also present in the meeting are the following officers: Licensing Officer Apinda Nandra.
Good morning, Chair.
Good morning. Committee Manager Katie Townsend.
Good morning, Chair.
Good morning. Committee Lawyer Joanne Swampillai.
Good morning, Chair.
Good morning. And could I ask all parties to identify themselves, please? Firstly, the applicant, representing the applicant, Kerry Cox.
Good morning, Chair. Yeah, good morning, Chair. My name's Kerry Cox, and I'm an associate of Duncan Craig, acting on behalf of James Fitzgibbon from Buddha Belly.
Good morning.
Good morning, and that's James, is it?
Yes,
Thank-
I'm James Fitzgibbons, yeah.
Thank you. I don't believe we have anyone making representations today. Is that correct?
That's correct, Chair.
Thank you. I will assume that all parties have read and understood the licensing committee's procedural rules sent out with the notice of today's hearing. Please note that given the nature of today's proceedings, I may at my discretion amend the procedural rules to reflect the fact that this meeting is taking place online, but wish to assure you that all such amendments will not impact the party's right to a fair hearing. We'll be using the chat function in Microsoft Teams to communicate. One of the icons on your toolbar is a speech bubble. Click on the speech bubble to go into chat. If you do not have access to the chat function for any reason, please use the raise a hand function to indicate that you wish to speak. The button is usually fourth from the right on the toolbar. You can also, of course, indicate verbally that you wish to speak at the appropriate time. Can you all confirm that you have access to the chat facility by typing your own name now? Officers will also type their job title. The meeting will not proceed until you all have done so.
Chair, I believe Kerry Cox has dialed in on audio, so I don't believe she will be able to use the chat facility, but if she could just confirm that's the case.
Yeah,
correct.
apologies, Chair. I don't have that facility, just the raise your hand facility.
Okay, that's fine. Thank you. Thank you. And everybody else's.
Yes, Chair.
Please keep this chat column open for the entire duration of the meeting in order that everyone can follow the messages being posted in chat. If any participant has dialed in and Kerry has confirmed this on the audio telephone rather than Microsoft Teams, please speak now to confirm that you can hear and be heard. With the exception of subcommittee members, please keep your camera off unless you're the person speaking. If there are any problems with bandwidth, which cause difficulties with the sound, I may, in my discretion, ask everyone to turn the cameras off in order that the meeting can proceed with everyone able to hear and be heard. Make any preliminary points at this stage? If so, please indicate that you wish to raise a point by typing speak into the chat function or using the raise a hand function now. Thank you. I'll now briefly outline the procedure that we'll be following at today's hearing. Firstly, the licensing officer for Pindra Nandra will present the report. Then the applicant will be asked to present their case. We're asking if this could be kept to approximately 20 minutes. Could ask all parties to speak as slowly and clearly as they possibly can because the officers are taking notes by hand for the minutes. And the meeting is also live streamed on the City Council's website. If any time it's somebody else's turn to speak, please mute your microphone and use a chat function to communicate if necessary. Please note that members of the subcommittee will be able to ask questions at any stage, but we'll try to do so at the conclusion of each presentation. Cross-examination by the applicant and those making representations will not be permitted unless the members consider it appropriate. Where questions are raised by members of the subcommittee or those present, they must signify this using the chat facility set out on the right-hand side of the screen you're viewing this meeting on. The meeting manager will alert me if I do not notice messages in chat. I will determine verbally or in the writing in the chat facility the order in which questions are dealt with. So at any point in the meeting, if you wish to speak, please type the word speak into the chat function and the meeting manager will ensure that we come to you at the appropriate moment. If at any point you cannot hear or having problems with your internet connection, please use the chat facility to alert the meeting manager. The chair will then ask the person speaking to repeat what they've just said. It is therefore important that you use the chat function as soon as you're unable to hear the person speaking. It may well be that the problem is caused by people still having their microphones or cameras on, which creates interference. So I remind everyone to please mute your microphones and turn off your cameras when you're not the person speaking. Would I point out occasionally it may be necessary for the subcommittee to take legal advice. At my discretion, I may ask all parties to wait in this meeting whilst members and the relevant officers withdraw to take legal advice using a separate meeting within Microsoft Teams. We will then return to this meeting and continue. Please note if at any time the live stream being broadcast on the City Council's website fails, I will ask you all to mute your microphones and cameras and to stop speaking until the live stream is restored. If at any time this meeting goes into private session, the meeting manager will pause the live stream. Once the private part of the meeting is over, I will ask the meeting manager to confirm that the live stream has resumed before we continue. At the conclusion of the hearing, I will invite all parties to make a brief closing submission. Can I stress no decision will be taken until all the evidence has been heard. At the decision-making stage, the members and the relevant officers will draw from the meeting in order to determine the decision. They will go into a separate Microsoft Teams meeting. In the event that members need to clarify any point, will be telephoned by the meeting manager. The members will then make their decision. You'll be notified of the decision of the subcommittee within 5 working days. So I hope that's reasonably straightforward. So with that, can I ask the Licensing Officer, Pindra Nandra, to present the report, please, as slowly and clearly as you can, please.
Thank you, Chair. J&S Street Food Limited applied on the 4th of July 2022 for the grant of a premises licence for Buddha Belly 1268 Persia Road, Sturchley, Birmingham B30 2XU. The purpose of the report is to consider a representation that has been made in respect of an application for a premises licence which seeks to permit the sale of alcohol for consumption both on and off the premises to operate from 10 AM until 12 midnight Monday to Sunday, to permit the provision of late night refreshment to operate from 11 PM until 12:30 AM Monday to Sunday, with the premises to remain open to the public from 9 AM until 12:30 AM Monday to Sunday. Other dates and times are specified in the application form. A representation has been received from other persons, which is attached at Appendix 1. The application is attached at Appendix 2. Conditions have been agreed with West Midlands Police and the applicant, which are attached at Appendix 3, and the site location plans are attached at Appendix 4. When carrying out its licensing functions, a licensing authority must have regard to Birmingham City Council's Statement of Licensing Policy and the guidance issued by the Secretary of State under Section 182 of the Licensing Act 2003. The licensing authority is also required to take such steps as it considers appropriate for the promotion of the licensing objectives. The options available to the subcommittee today are to grant the licence in accordance with the application, to reject the application, to grant the licence subject to conditions modified to such an extent as considered appropriate, exclude from the licence any other licensable activities to which the application relates, or to refuse to specify a person in the licence as the premises supervisor. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Linda. Would the applicant like to make their representation now? Kerry Cox, you'll be.
Thank you, Chair. Good morning, everybody. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can.
Yeah, lovely. So a representation's been made with regards to our application for Buddha Belly. So if I can take you straight to that representation, which in the supplementary documents I sent last night is on page 3. So apologies for getting that over to you late. I was on annual leave. I hope everybody's got them okay. So looking at that email that was received from Mr. Lowe, the main concern is with regards to noise. Now, before I address those points individually and those concerns, just a little bit of a brief history about James and how he's come into this industry, which I'll get him to explain as well, is the whole idea of Buddha Belly is an expansion of his 10 years within this industry and bringing it into a restaurant. Did you want to explain a little bit more about the concept of that?
Yeah, I'm not sure how relevant this is, but me and my wife started the business in 2012 together. We've been running it together ever since. After lockdown, after COVID, sorry, there was sort of just like a crying out from our customers for us to get a premises, which has been long overdue, and we found that one. So that's where we're at. We have a position in the Jewellery Quarter. We've worked within Birmingham and with Birmingham City Council as part of markets and street food for 10 years now. So this is just a natural development of our business, really.
So James has been in the restaurant the food industry for many years, and obviously Pershall Road is a great area for him to open up his business. So the first concern is with regards to noise and the bottles and the bins. There was an email sent on page 2 from my colleague Duncan in the supplementary documents that I sent yesterday evening, where we have tried to make contact with the person who's made the representation with a proposal. So, Chair, the proposal is that there would be a condition that James would not empty any bottles into the bins or have any bins done unless it was between 8 a.m. and 8 p.m. So that's a proposal to try and address those concerns. However, we did ask to meet with the person and we've heard nothing back from them at all, and they're not here today either. And aside from that, there's been no other representations from any of the other authorities. James is well established in this business. Is there anything with regard to the menu? That was one of the things we were going to look at, wasn't it? So again, there's a menu because the second issue raised in that email was with regards to the Bournebrook Inn across the road, and a comparison was made to that. And it's clear from the menu and the type of food and what sort of establishment James is going to run, it's not a fair comparison of Bournebrook Inn. Bournebrook Inn, like you know, does have a very comprehensive licence, and they've had their fair share of some representations. However, if you look at page 1 of the supplementary documents, you'll see a proposed menu for Buddha Belly. Very small, limited menu, and in particular, the drinks menu is very small, and I think that's really important to take note of. It's not a cocktail bar, it's not a pub, it's a restaurant. The drinks menu is very small. You've all seen a plan of what it's going to look like inside. So the seating plan, very small bar area. The idea is that people will go to the bar and order their food, and then food and drinks will be served to them at their tables.
Yeah, we wanted to create like a high-end Southeast Asian inspired restaurant, which is where my wife and family's heritage are from. But we also still wanted to keep it a little bit close to our roots of where we started, which is in street food. But you can see from our menu that it's not going to be a place that attracts drinkers or noise. It's going to be a quiet little local restaurant.
So with the type of clientele that James has in mind, the sort of 25 and above, the pricing of things will limit the sort of clientele they will get. And just to highlight in particular some other local establishments, I've mentioned Bournebrook Inn, and their, what their licensable activities are for everything available. You've also got a takeaway 3 doors down that they deliver alcohol, and they're open till quite late on in the evening and early hours of the morning. And then slightly further down, you have the snooker club. And then also the British Oak just round the corner to the left is where Buddha Belly is proposed to be, which again is open over weekends until 12 a.m. So, and they have a license to serve till all licensable activities till quite late on, again 1 o'clock in the morning over weekends and 11 o'clock in the week. So it's, if they could be taken into consideration, that would be really grateful, and we're open to any questions that you may have.
Yeah, we've been looking for a site for our restaurant for a number of years actually. When we found this one, we saw that the owners had already renovated it from who used to own a restaurant at that site previously, who are currently our landlords. So on the basis when we saw it that they wanted it to be a restaurant, and they'd already sort of white boxed it and got it ready, it really felt like the perfect opportunity for us. We're a family run business, and we want to make sure this restaurant doesn't do anything that's a negative impact on the area that it's in or on the residents. So me and my wife are really keen to work with the council and with the residents to make sure that what we do is nothing but a positive thing for the area.
Thank you, Chair. Welcome to any questions if anyone has any.
Thank you. So is that all the submissions the various representatives of the applicant wish to make? Yeah. Are there any questions from members? Councillor Pritchard. You're on mute.
Thank you, Chair. Just to clarify the location, is it the site of the former curry house that used to be at that in that stretch of shops? Is that the site we're talking about? I kind of know that area a little bit, so that's why I'm just trying to clarify.
Yeah, so that's been split into 2 now. So I think it was spread over the 2 buildings when it was previously a restaurant, and that's been split into 2. So you've got 1268, and then next door is a separate rental place.
Thank you, Councillor Pritchard. There are no further questions from members. So would the applicant like to make a closing submission?
Yes, thank you, Chair. I think it's important to consider one of the main things that has been brought up is the times and the bins. We've given you a proposal to make sure that we can try and work with the local community and the local residents in that the condition for the bins being only emptied and considered at a certain time. And also, I think it's really important to mention that this is not a cumulative impact area, which there was an undertone within that email that potentially there's, a repetition of these environments bringing up and a reference made to Bournebrook Inn and a comparison made. And I think it needs to be made very clear that Buddha Belly is not a fair comparison to Bournebrook Inn. And James and his wife have been in the industry for many, many years and only look to bring some employment opportunities and further tourism to Sturchley.
Okay, thank you. Thank you to everyone. I will now ask all parties to leave the Microsoft Teams meeting, and the members and the committee lawyer and committee manager will go into the private session while the subcommittee makes its decision. You'll be notified of the decision of the subcommittee within 5 working days. Thank you.